Okay, dear guest, I think we can start from now. Hello, everyone, once again. Thank you so much for finding time to join us. While our guests are still coming, we will start from the basic information. Okay, our slides are ready. First of all, nice to virtually meet you. My name is Alexandra, and I'm a community manager at OrigamiLab. In case, hello, can you please mute yourself for a moment? Thank you so much. In case you have any idea, comment, advice, or question, you can always contact me personally via our website or social media. I will be happy to help you out. Dear guests, we're thrilled to have you here. First of all, we would like to introduce you to what is Origami Lab initiative, what is our open source Cobalt platform, and also today you will be able to meet our special guest, Professor Christian Kronzider from University of Applied Sciences and Arts of Northwestern Switzerland School of Life Sciences. And one of the main goals for today's meetup is to get a glimpse of how actually we can transform the current state of the research into a fully digital area. Welcome everyone again. Just a quick note, we have a few simple rules for today. First of all, at the moment when someone's speaking from our team, please mute yourself. It will be very helpful for our speakers. Also note that you can ask questions during the meetup. Add your comments, your impressions in the chat box. You can use it. And at the end of the meetup, we will have the Q&A and discussion session where we will try to address all of your questions. The last one, for sure, we will have this meetup in the recording. Just stay tuned in our social media and we will get back to you very soon. Okay, we are good for now, and I turn the floor over to my colleague. Please welcome Victor Andreas, who will share with us what is the OrigamiLab initiative and what do we want to achieve. Victor, it's your time. We cannot hear you, Victor.
Yes, it's just a bit challenging for me to unmute while I'm presenting full screen, so I should be good now. Thank you, Alexandra, for the introduction. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for attending the session today and sparing some time with us and showing some interest. It's a pleasure to talk you through the first segment. Since it's our first meetup publicly, we would like to start initially and spend 10 to 15 minutes on introducing you what is OrigamiLab all about, what are we trying to do, how was this initiative established, and what is the main goal going forward as part of, within the initiative here. My name is Victor. You can reach me on social media or over the contact details that will be shared later, so don't hesitate to drop me a message for whatever topic you might have or a question. I will be introducing to you today the purpose and background story of OrigamiLab, also maybe a little bit about the theme that we have chosen here, specifically the origami art itself and what OrigamiLab is all about. Here you can see in one sentence actually the main high-level goal that we have set out for this initiative. It's really all about accelerating science. We, with the initiative here, and I will talk you through later what building blocks and essential parts of it are doing, on the bigger picture, want to contribute to the acceleration. We want to use creativity in a specific way and think out of the box. And main pillar as well is we want to use technology, right? We want to be digital and we want to be using latest methodologies and technologies that are available for the purpose of acceleration where it's suitable, right? And the origami theme has been chosen because maybe you see already the important words, creativity, technique, acceleration, and the problems that will be tackled are not necessarily the easiest ones. And we thought it fits quite well with the origami art, right? You need some skill, you need some creativity. It's not just making a paper plane. It requires a little bit of dedication and practice. It's some sort of technology as well, maybe not the latest, the way it's done, but we thought it's a really fitting, let's say, symbol here, right, to communicate what it's all about as well. Everyone is welcome at the initiative. There's no specific preference, so don't worry about your background, and maybe if you're not a technical person, it's really not about just that. Why do we believe this initiative makes sense or is even necessary? The initial impulse came from the University of Applied Science in Basel, from the Life Science Institute specifically. And this is the chart that we have been looking together a while ago. And it was obvious that something is not necessarily going wrong, but something could be done better, right? This chart shows you there are many various graphics probably to illustrate that as well. But here it's all about the trend, right? Over the years and over time, the rate of new discoveries, or the rate, the velocity of that is constantly shrinking, specifically in the numbers here that you see in numbers of drugs that are discovered. And don't get hooked up too much on that, but we clearly hear it from the scientific community and from the research world that there is definitely a specific moment in time right now where something has to be done. And what we want to do is, with this orange dotted line here, maybe it's, just metaphorically here, exaggregate it a little bit. We want to help accelerating it, basically turning the trend a little bit around, right? As much as we can with the community here together. And a little bit about the nature of the initiative. It's really important to emphasize it's based on the open source principles. So nothing is done here and hidden away. Everything that is being worked on, everything that is created or invented is part of the public domain. It can be reused for any purpose suitable, and has to always be open to everyone to be reused as well, right? And the second term is open innovation, which signals that we want to encourage companies to engage as well. And instead of themselves in a hidden environment and without telling anyone and sharing the benefits of it where they can, engage here and innovate together in an open environment where everyone is benefiting. On one side, the community overall, not just Origami, but overall the scientific community, and then the company itself with their own interest in sourcing innovative ideas and alternatives from the outside, right? The Origami community, as mentioned before, is initiated by the University of Applied Science in Basel, specifically with the Faculty of Life Sciences. By design, it is meant to be an open community, so there's no preferred initiator, but really the let's say the spark was set there. And from there on, in the last 4 or 5 months, we have started setting up the community principles, how it will work. And it's important to emphasize that it's really made for everyone, with every background, who wants to make a difference and who is interested in getting maybe something to see or get involved or to learn more how technology is currently influencing every area of our world, and how specifically this is could be helpful for the scientific community to exactly tackle the negative trend. Everyone is welcome, regardless of the background, profession, or whatever other aspect you might be concerned. Just join in. We'll explain to you how what means join in, how to participate and get involved, or get involved in specific initiatives that you might be interested to learn from. So you're gonna get additional information on that topic later. Here a little bit of the overview of the community captains. That's how we started calling this group. Those people are basically in charge of facilitating, moderating, and really, let's say, kicking it off, right? Again, various backgrounds from different places. It doesn't mean that those people are working here or employed in some way. These people have their jobs, they have their own passion and competence. But here we got together, and whatever you get to see up to now was done by a few more people that we didn't have the chance to list here, but really created so far here. And here, anyone again can take initiative, can take leadership on. Whoever is feeling excited about it, again, just reach out to us, and we are happy to add hundreds of pictures here. That would be great. Moving on, what are the focus areas of the OrigamiLab as of now? We have identified together with the university 6 main directions at the moment. This focus areas list could probably be quite a long list, but we wanted initially to have a short list of 6 areas that could make a difference in specifically the research and scientific domain. You can see them here. It's about collaboration and connectivity between people and scientists, especially now, since we all join virtually, it's kind of becoming even more amplified. Automation and robotics is also very valid for lab work. Imagine people synthesizing things over and over. There's interesting ways now emerging how this could be done, which are already utilized in car manufacturing, for example. Digitization is a general term. Move away from paper, move away from non-standardized ways of doing things, and move to digital channels. Standards and tools, it's less of a digitization, but we also realize that there's standardization and tooling issues. Data science and AI is a really big topic, and we're going to be having actually a guest speaker today on this subject, introducing this part a bit. Very interesting as well. And analytics, right? Kind of goes hand in hand, but we have it separately listed here. If you want to find out more, you can read on that on our website, on the OrigamiLab.ch website. And we're going to start introducing those things deeper as we go along with the initiative. Also open for additional focus areas here. Again, it's not all finished. It's work. Everything is a work in progress. So don't think it's it's kind of a done deal here. Then important also for us as one of the important principles or building blocks of the community. And some of the people here that you have seen as captains, they are actively involved in communities in the technology world, especially open source communities, a very, very normal thing. Almost a lot of things that you are using, they are coming from that part, specifically where it's community-driven effort to create something that gives value for many people. And what we have seen with, let's say, communities that create something versus communities that don't, is the importance of having a structured process, how from an idea or problem statement things move along to something that is created and created to let's say stay, right? Not just disappear after the project is done. And there's a specific process that we thought about how to do it. It requires a lot of additional work here and partnerships, but we really think this is important to have it from day one as an aim that it starts from the idea or problem statement that is provided from a researcher, from anyone. There's a process of gathering ideas, experimenting on solutions. It doesn't have to be one, it can be hundreds of solutions that solve one problem. But then it's important that there's a process and a way that if an idea resulted in a solution that is really, really making a difference, this solution has a way to be established, either through a commercial offering or in some way or form, but it is there's a continuation for that, right? This is very important for us. It's not easy to do, but we're going to work on it. And here at this stage, we really rely on probably as a community on partnerships with the industry and research facilities. So we're working on that right now. Then a little bit about how to get involved. A little bit about how to get involved. We have established a community platform, a portal. You can access it from the website. You can go there directly. Alexandra will share later the information how to get there. You can simply sign up with an email or Gmail account. It's super easy to do. We have made it the way that it's super convenient. And you can read up on existing problem statements or ideas. We have pre-filled it a little bit. This is something that should, over time now, begin to grow. Rate things, like them, dislike them, leave a comment, leave an input that you might think nothing is silly or something. It's really... we want to make a difference and not, to appear to be the smartest. So just go in there, throw something in, and there are people that moderate it. No one will be criticized. Things get in place, and we also use this in a way to see which problems or ideas matter the most, or get a little bit of structure in here, right? So feel free to sign up. It will not cost you much time or anything else, and any input is super valuable. And anything you can come up with. So have a look. We'll share the details later. What are the plans for this year, right? As a kind of a last closing comment, we want to make a difference, but we don't want to also stress people too much, right? It's a side topic for many community members, or it's something that people volunteer for. But most important things that we want to do is continuing having those meetups. We're thinking right now about monthly meetups, just to keep things going, so people can get informed and really share information how we go along. We want to conduct a conference, which we are thinking to host maybe in two months, with really interesting anchor guests or speakers, and really bring more voice of this scientific community into the conference there, and also have a workshop type of setting where we would have pre-collected problem statements or ideas, where a diverse group of people, with maybe a data scientist, somebody who's creative, somebody who understands what is user experience, that we can then together model a little bit on things, and hopefully come up with cool stuff that would help the community, and specifically in the research world, right? Something that is close to that is really continuation of scouting of ideas and problems, and that's what we put out the community platform for. Really, please, highly encouraging everyone, go in there, throw some ideas in there. That's what we want, to keep doing the whole year right now, and launch, of course, one or two initiatives. We have existing initiatives that we are working on right now. One of those is called the Cobalt initiative, will be introduced later. We really want to get this to a final stage, to have this as a reference case that goes through the stages, gets to a state where it solves problems, and we find a way how to establish it in a way that it is providing services to the ones that need them, and people can rely on it, that it doesn't disappear. Very important right now, sponsorship and partnership outreach. We're focusing right now on Switzerland, but also it's purely driven by capacity. We can only do so much, so we're going to focus initially on Switzerland, and then over time, as things evolve, we of course look at it as a global initiative where everyone can join in and also use things that come out of here. So that's it on this part. I hope I'm still in time. I would then hand over back to Alexandra, and again, happy to keep in touch, reach out to me. You get my contact details, and we are all always involved in the community. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you, Victor. That was interesting, I think, for many of our guests. What is the community about? And now we are ready to present you a very interesting talk from our guest speaker, Professor Christian Kronzeder, and he will talk about this paradox of having too much data. Christian, you can present now.
Thank you. Question is, do you see? I guess you see my screen now.
Exactly.
Yes, cool. Good. Just let me add one thing to Victor's introduction here. So I admit it's my fault that this whole thing exists. So that's why I'm also making sure that that we keep this alive as long as possible. And Victor had a very, very interesting comment at his last bullet point, which was we're looking for partners that help us to keep this alive. We are actually thinking of creating a foundation so that we can put this in a more formalized way. Okay, and with this I stop, and I tell you my journey why this whole thing actually started to exist, and why I think this is an interesting thing for us, but also for the FHNW in our area. So having too much data can actually be a problem, and there's a bit of a paradox, because as researchers we all want to have more data, and we all want to work through more data, but then we find once we have this massive amount of data, we don't have the tools to do this properly. Or even at the get-go, some machine gives me a lot of data and I don't know how to deal with it. And I give you a short example, and then based on this, I suggest a generic approach how a research data infrastructure could look like. And then I think we get in more and more detail. So this, by the way, is Paris in the night. If I look properly, there's somewhere the Eiffel Tower, but I can't find it now. But the problem is that access to data, and I'm only looking for access to data. I'm not even talking about the data we're creating in our lab. Access to data is abundant. This is massive. We have easily about, what did I find? About 110 databases on Wikipedia alone, on biochemistry, pharmaceutical chemistry, toxicology, inorganic, organic chemistry, whatever you want to find. Here's an interesting thing. Let me start my pointer here. Ta-da. NCBI alone here. Where's my pointer? NCBI alone here gives you access to additional 50 databases I found on top. And some of them are like Interpro, which gives you an integrated database of predictive protein signatures, which you can use for classification and automatic annotation of proteins and genomes. Then we have OMIM here, which is a comprehensive compendium of human genes and genetic phenotypes. And R3 Data is like NCBI, also a repository which gives you access to another set of databases, which from time to time overlap, but they also are different. You can find the genome of the Neanderthal and compare it against the genome of modern humans, human beings on top. So there's nothing, if you can't find it, it doesn't exist. I think this is what it comes down to. So everything is there. And it's actually not difficult to find it, but to access it and use it is a different story. So I guess there's about probably 1,000 different databases available. And this does not even contain the different software pieces I found and software tools for various purposes, such building your own open source data website for this type of data, tools to annotate genes, biochemical pathway analysis tools, crystallography, gene sequencing. It's just unimaginable what you can find. That is the open access world. I haven't talked about the proprietary data access, which is mostly run by hospitals, clinicals, and analytic companies, and sometimes universities, which are closed-end databases, which you might or might not get access depending on the research topic you're looking at. And then we have commercial data sources. And we all noticed publications, super expensive, Scopus, Science Direct, Springer Nature Science, Wiley Online Library, Elsevier, you name it. And we also have various databases like Gmelin, SciFinder, Beilstein, which are some sort of the bedrocks, at least when I was studying chemistry, the bedrocks of chemistry, where you could look up all sorts of information on chemical products and chemical molecules. So this is where we are. Now, coming back to the other side. So I create data. So we have enormous amounts of data, but the workflow of research today and industry, as well as in academia, does not really take care of this. And this leads to a really, really strange situation. So I had this example. So there was a researcher that was analyzing the up and down regulations of genes in certain cells. And the result was that there is several thousands of up and down regulated genes, which is not uncommon. But this is where the problem here started, because there was no tool that actually was able to draw together all the data into one set. So what happened was this poor person was actually forced to start a manual comparison of the genes to standard cells, and this already takes a long time. And this would have been not so bad, but there's some sort of a little wrinkle which makes it really bad. Because what I didn't know is that gene identifiers are not unique. This person as well didn't know this either. So before you can even start comparing genes to each other, you have to normalize them on a common name. And certain genes carry about 10 different identifiers, depending on who published something on it and then had the feeling they have to give this gene another name. So it could be the Christian gene, and it could be the Victor gene, it could be the Alexandra gene, and it's all the same gene. So there's another problem. So we have too much data, and in theory, everything is available, but the sheer amount of data just collides with the current way we're doing our laboratory work. And I think that's a problem. I think everybody agrees that this is a problem. So the irony of this whole thing is that we live in a world where the amount of data is actually not going to be less. On the contrary, we will expect an ever-increasing surge of data through scientific progress in almost all areas. That's the whole idea, because we all think that with big data and machine learning and statistical and other means, we can actually have deeper and deeper insights into what nature is doing or not. But this will also mean that there has to be a convergence between how the research workflow works today and the data flow that is created. This is happening very slowly because if we go back to the digital journaling and laboratory journaling, we're still in a position where we don't have a proper digital journal. There are commercial products out there, but they do only so much. You cannot really integrate your analytics data. You cannot do a proper literature research out of this. So you can't do a lot of things, but some of them are really good at is just capturing what you do in the laboratory, but that's it. And are very restricted in which area you do this. So this leads to something also very unwieldy, which is what we call media breaks. You have the situation where you have your laboratory journal. Now you have done your analysis, and the analysis is done with mostly a very expensive piece of technology. And then you print out the result and glue it into your paper-based laboratory journal, and that's it. So you're going from fully digital electronic to back again to physical, and there's no way that you can activate additional data as you do. And it sounds all very wild, and I've done it, and I think everybody on the call has done it probably as well, who did some research. And that's something which must change, otherwise you're going to get drowned into data. And there's today different kind of strategies that lead to it. Some people just ignore the data. Some people try to work through it with Excel sheets, but there's no satisfying solution available. So let's look for a generic approach how we can do this. And I'm daring a bit of a look into the future. So we will clearly see there is more data coming our way. There's more data sources, and there's a higher granularity of data because the technology enables us to look really down, literally on the atomic level of the things we're looking at. Yeah. Now, this development will have, and there's no might, it will have an impact on how we researchers are working going forward, both individually, but also in teams. Individually, in a sense, how can I record it? How can I keep it? But also in teams, we will see that also people from different backgrounds will more and more work together because the questions we're asking are requiring more and more different backgrounds. You need somebody who understands data better than you do, but you also need someone who understands analytics better than you do. And actually, it's nothing new for most of researchers. That's why we have this fantastic analytics laboratory from Götz, and that's where we have Frank Senna, who's I think also on the call, is doing this incredible, really cool stuff for the students. So this is already happening, but with more data coming. So impacts I see. We will see digitalization of lab notebooks, integrating experimental data, but also the spectra and other things, anything you can imagine. We also will see that in order to be successful, we need to pick up a certain level of data science skills, at least comparable to today's know-how on how we interpret NMR spectra or HPLC MS spectra or whatever other analytical tools you need. You have to have a basic understanding how they work. Otherwise, you can't perform anymore. And maybe there's some sort of a low-code environment thing happening, so that in case you cannot actually code programs on the computer, you can at least stick together different modules that give you the desired outcome. And that remains to be seen. So looking into my crystal ball, I could see a future that will look like this. Integration of experiment analysis and data. Shielding the researcher from the complexity of data access and data sources. So I'm coming back to my slide with several hundred, maybe 1,000 databases. How do you get access to that? This shouldn't be actually the problem of the research person. This should be the problem of a piece of software, giving you the ability to access those data without really thinking, how can I access the data? We need to lower there must be a lower barrier of access to machine learning and AI, either to perform repetitive tasks. So it's not only very useful for gaining new insight into a new set of molecules, but also helping you to perform repetitive tasks on and on with the same quality and not getting frustrated, not getting tired. And of course, what I call data wrangling, so working with data, making it clean, pre-process it also through technology. Because as we all know, the data we're getting usually needs some preparation in order to do this. Okay, I'm running. No, I'm still a bit of time. Okay, so here's my idea. We have a generic data research platform. We give access to relevant and high quality data sources. We manage access to our experimental data, and we support different users and different research projects. So all these items I see here would be some sort of the ingredients, high-level ingredients, how you can build a data research platform. And that would be even more important if you look at the different things we have to take into consideration. The project, what we're talking here, like Origami, is not supposed to experience a premature death. So it lives and breathes with your willingness to contribute. It must be a simple software architecture. The architecture must scale. And we have to understand, and that's very important, that the people we're inviting here, they are not all chemists, they're not all biochemists, they're also pharmacists and come from different scientific backgrounds, so we need to cater to them too. So the approach would be, we start with this open source project. We do a certain software architecture, and I was going ahead of myself at that point. But if you look at how I think this could look like, so we have an electronic laboratory journal, which is we're going to call OrigamiLab, which contains its own database where you can have literature bookmarks, where you can store your experimental parameters, where you can draw data from other external databases, where you could do analysis, visualize, support for publications, do literature research, have a user management tool so that you can manage teams, and do all the other things that you can ever think of. And I left deliberately space here because we can add almost anything we can think of what we would want to do. Maybe a voice recognition system as well. So, and I think with this, I'm done. And I'm happy to pass on to the next person who can give us more detail on other stuff.
Yeah, exactly. What an overview, Christian. Thank you so much for this great talk. It's actually unbelievable how serious this problem of having too much data. And now you're probably questioning yourself and what is the role of technology or engineers or creative people here. And to answer all of this question, I would invite still team of the OrigamiLab, Victor, Maria, and Daniel, and they will tell you what exactly they do with the Cobalt initiative and what approach is there. Guys, you can start now.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks a lot. Just to tie it into what Christian has presented, giving the overflow of data and giving what we have seen, how this is being produced and what context the people actually working in. And Christian introduced it as well already with the workflow that a scientist and researcher is conducting. Doing research is pretty a stepwise approach most of the time that it keeps being repeated. It became obvious that there's a fundamental thing to be solved, which is the documentation and the archiving of this process, right? As simple as it sounds, many places this is lacking a lot of fundamental basics. And this would be the initial fundamental step of then layering, let's say, statistical analysis, machine learning methodologies, and making these things more smarter. But initially, it's really, really important to give something into the hands of the scientific community that would be appealing, efficiently to use, and would encourage people to really capture the information around their context in a way that this could be then later interlinked with all other information that is being captured by other people in there as well, and through that then generate insights or interesting shortcuts, right, for people. Because in science, a lot gets forgotten, a lot gets repeated twice in various places that just people don't know about it. So by solving that, already a lot can be addressed, right? Addressing this problem, we are calling now the Cobalt initiative. This is part of the OrigamiLab and is really aimed at this particular problem, and is quite a fundamental step for many different things that could come out of it. So here, basically almost everything that is on the slide I explained before. It's really about creating in the future an automated and smart approach in a research environment, and for that there's a fundamental step that would have to be done, and it's really going against this goal here, right? Being in a digital environment, having a support of the machine. You know these buzzwords, AI, machine learning. It's not always as much as it is being promised, but here there are techniques training the machine in a way that it supports the researcher, it helps fetching the right information. But for that, we need initially to start with collecting all of it, right? And that's why this digital journaling step, amongst many others, can help making a difference here. So here, the challenge we have seen is also that, as Christian also initially introduced, the field is very different. There's chemists, bio researchers, everyone has their own need and demand, which makes it really difficult actually to solve. And that's why we apply a certain approach here that Maria will introduce in the following steps. Here, maybe just to show it to you, it's a bit of a, pushing the envelope example, but we really have found this, right? That's how people currently actually working in their labs. It's very convenient. We especially from the technology world, we have been there as well. Creates a lot of problems down the road on various areas, handover of know-how, sharing know-how, repeatability. Maybe you even can't just read the handwriting. This is quite an antiquated approach. And don't be surprised, this is quite common. People move to Excel, people move to Word, but it doesn't then give you this nice interconnectivity network effect, right? That can then be utilized to apply data science techniques. So that's what we're trying to address. Yeah, so this is where we're starting, and really the motivation is to help the people that are dealing with paper right now. This is the main target group we are looking at right now, and then evolve this further and see how really this is shaping up as a helpful tool. We don't want to we have certain assumptions, but we don't want to over assume. We want to solve the problem of people that are dealing with paper right now, hear the feedback, hear more from them, and then move on. So the initial goal is really to build something that is called a minimum viable product. Basically, help the ones with a minimum setup that would remove the paper approach, and then evolve and observe how this actually is then really applied in the real lab scenario. Today, we already found out from Christian that in some labs, you can't even take anything with you. It's a sterile environment. You have to do some voice recording. So these things, they come up when you really start doing it, right? And that's why we apply this minimum viable product approach here to give something out and start learning on the subject, right? Actually making an experiment, right? So I will hand over now to Maria. She will introduce you the approach, how we went about it so far. It's not, it's never-ending cycle. So Maria, stage is yours here.
Hello, everybody. Just I'd like to say that it was a pleasure for me to take a part of that initiative. And thanks for the invitation. I'm going to share my screen and... So I hope that we see the screen now.
Yes, we can see that.
Okay, I'd like to start with some interesting facts that nearly 70% of startups fail. There are many reasons for this, but the one of main ones is that the created solution does not cover the user's needs and expectations. Because of that, we followed the best practices for product development to create satisfied solution for the target audience. It's called minimum viable product, or just MVP. MVP is the basic version covering the product fundamental components and features, targeting the end users' core requirements and needs. To create that MVP version of Cobalt platform, we use design thinking process, which help us the following: understand the user needs and problems, and validate on early stage the potential solution. We started with discovery phase, and we conducted user interviews to gather information about their needs, problems, and also their habits. Using that information, we define the scope of the product and functionalities, which are going to help the users to manage the materials and data they need when they run one experiment. Then we designed the platform concept and used it for additional user interviews to validate our initial solution and functionalities. Using that feedback, we not just validate our ideas, we also improve our prototype. And once the validation state finished, we create the full prototype design version of the platform and move forward to the next step development phase. In that phase, based on the prototype, the development team defined the technical specification to develop the platform functionality. And so my colleague Daniel, who is technical lead at Prime Holding, who leads the whole development stage, is going to present you our MVP version of Cobalt platform.
Yeah, thanks, Maria. So I won't say that I'm happy to be part of the team and also what we've built until now. So I will present you the platform that we have. Tell me when you see my screen.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So here, the first screen that I'm going to show you is the login that we have. So now I will log in the platform. And now we're in. So this is the first screen that the experiments, the experiments are looking. So when we don't have any kind of experiments, the user will see only this screen. So here we can create a new experiment. We can add additional date here for the start and for the due date. And we're going to create the experiment. On this screen, we're going to see the details page of each experiment. Here, the user can add additional protocols information, conclusion, and he can add different notes that he has. So I will demo that. So for the experiment, I will just add some random text that I have here. And I can click save here. Here we have a message that everything is saved. Also, we have a different type of view if you want to see everything in bigger screen. And you can shrink it back if you want. And it is also the same for the conclusion. You can paste the text, you can write the text, it doesn't matter. Also here for the notes, you can add some note here. And when you click submit, you're going to see it appear here, and that's it. So also you can have different possibilities to attach different types of files. For example, here I will attach this image. Here we're going to see it immediately, and when you click on the image, you're ready to external page where you can see the image, you can download the image, And also you can add different kind of attachments like links. Here I will add one of the links that I have here. When I hit upload, I receive a success message, and also I can see the link here. Also, you can open the link directly to check it, of course, and that's it. Also, you can delete the links, and also you can delete the attachments that you don't want to see. Or also you can here, if you want to edit, for example, the name of the experiment or the start date or the due date, you can do it from this button, edit experiment, and you can type whatever you want here. So I'm going to attach a new file again, just so I can show everything on the next view that I'm having. So when you are done with all the protocols, notes, and conclusion, you have a possibility to view the detailed view of everything, just to check if everything is okay. So here you have all the attachments that you can open also from here, links, the conclusion, the protocol, and the experiment details. From here you can edit everything, and you are back to the same screen that I showed before, or you can directly delete it, but I will show the delete a little bit later. So the next screen that I'm going to show you is the journal. So when you have experiment which is still running, it's partial of this journal. So here we have we have the table here, and you can see we have a different type of filters. Here we have filters by month and year, and you have a search above. For example, if I search some random, you're going to see nothing. You're going to see that there's no available journals. For example, if you try to click the date that doesn't has any kind of experiments inside, you're also going to see it, and you have a view all data that's going to clear all the filters here, and you're going to see all experiments here. From here also you can edit the experiment again, just a shortcut. And also you can view the experiment, which is going to open the same detailed view for everything. You can see the attachments and conclusions and so on. And of course, you can delete your experiment. The deletement of experiment is possible from the journal table. Also here, we have additional drop down from where user can also edit the same experiment, can delete the experiment. And also we have additional view of the experiment. So here we have a card view where we have more experiments to each other, or we can have it like this one under each other. So we can, now I will show you how we can delete everything. So if you want to delete the whole experiment, you just click delete, everything is confirmed, and now we don't have any kind of experiment existing in the platform. Also here we have different pages. For now they are just, they will coming soon. We're going to develop them in a later stage. And we have my team here. Also, in the whole platform, we have everything mobile friendly. So you can open in your mobile or your tablet. We have adaptive view that everyone can see and use the platform. So I can quickly demo that. So for example, I will show it on, for example, Nokia 9, it doesn't matter. So here we have the experiments view. When you click create, you can have the title. You can we need to fill the start date and the due date. When you click create, here is the detailed view again, but in the mobile view. Also here we can see the attachments on the left. and also the journal here. We have everything here. Because we haven't filled the protocol, the nodes, we don't see, we see just empty spaces. So if we get back and add some random text again and save it and go back to my journal, we can see everything from here. So basically that's it from my side. So this is the whole user experience that we have built until now. So if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer them.
Maybe I'll add one comment here. The platform that we labeled now as My Cobalt is not intended to be just for the journaling approach. Maybe if you remember what Christian pointed out in his presentation, is that journaling is one piece of the workflow, and here we aim also not just to cover the journaling process in the minimum state, so now we can observe and see how it could evolve, but we also want to create a frame that would capture a platform aspect. So here you would have later a module for journaling, and the next step we're looking at right now, based on the feedback we get from having had interviews with various scientists and researchers, is potentially something that would support them in not duplicating journaling experiments. So when they start journaling things or managing the experiments, they get informed about it. And the more evolved step would be in AI-driven literature research. That's something that we see as a vision for this platform as the next module. And for that, you also have to work a lot behind the scenes on the data structures. So there's a lot behind the scenes that is over time then will show value that maybe not necessarily is visible in terms of visual elements. And that's really the whole idea, to have this not being the best journaling tool or the best drawing tool or the best other tool, but really provide an research management platform entry point that encompasses various functionalities or tools that the researcher needs along the lifetime of or along the day, right? Just as an additional point here. So if you have ideas what should be added, just share with us.
Can I ask something, Victor, or whoever wants to answer? When we go on My Team, how can I add team members or delete team members?
I think Daniel is.
Daniel is.
So currently under My Teams, we have only static data, because we don't have that connection between the teams for now. So when we start developing My Team page, we're going to have all the things that you have described, deleting the team member or add new one.
That might be something we probably should focus on as one of the next steps. So to make this collaborative. Because that seems to be some sort of easy step is totally wrong, but a good step forward. So that a good step forward that several people can work on the same number of experiments.
That's good input. The so-called low-hanging fruit, huh?
I don't really, because I'm pretty sure from an IT point of view this is not so super easy. I'm trying to avoid this, but I think this would be a really cool add-on.
And here, just maybe to share as well, what we observed is we have seen 6 flavors of how collaboration is done. That's why we on purpose left it open. And here again, anyone who is on this call here, or if you can introduce us to someone who could give us another perspective, at the moment it's a bit of a learning stage. How is collaboration looking like? Because what we have seen also, there have been many attempts of solving the particular journaling aspect and they failed. Because it was rejected. It was too much in one direction, right, for a specific case. So with journaling, we realized you have to stay with the common denominator, which is basically what you have seen. That's where everybody would be happy with. But also, naturally, would have a lot to criticize because a lot is missing. But this is by design on purpose, because we don't want to create another direction that would manifest too much for one particular group, right? And because then this is where it failed, right? So it's a bit of a tricky situation here.
Well, I think Victor and team made a very interesting discovery while they were interviewing their let's say subject matter experts. Is that some of them have been going through these kind of exercises already, where they were asked what are the requirements from your point of view for a lab journal, and then the expectation was just massive, and every project they've been in so far totally fell short of what it did. So the lesson for us was we focus on a smaller group, and we provide a limited or a minimal functionality, and then we bring in people like we do today in the meetup, and then just listen what would be a really desired functionality, and then we get going. So that's more the likely approach. Since this journal, also to be very clear, this will never be finished. Yeah, this is going to be something where we'll add things, we probably will remove things going forward as well. So this is some sort of a current state of change. Hence, it is important that people voice their views and expectations so that we can actually move on.
I had a question, if that's okay.
Yeah,
totally.
I think you're doing such a cool job, amazing work, and I love that you did the interviews as well. I was wondering, on the dashboard, will there be like an automated data visualization tool to like keep track of stats? Because I'm just thinking of my supervisors. Whenever I've shared something with them, they want to see my recent activity, maybe log hours of how long I've been on not on Lab Archives, but this sort of journaling system. So yeah, is that a feature you're planning to include or you've already included?
I can try to answer the question. Hello again. So from the user experience perspective, actually the dashboard is the most challenged functionality for one platform. Our main idea is that you mentioned already, but of course, as I presented the process for work, for sure for the future we're going to conduct more research and more interviews and try to develop solution going to cover the different user groups needs. Because let's say you give perfect example that your supervisor has some needs, but I'm sure that you have different kinds of needs. And the valuable of the functionality like this is to prepare the right solution for each user group. This is going to be the direction.
That's so cool. Thank you. And I guess there might be a user profile per user type. So.
Yes. Mm-hmm. We call this persona in our language. Yeah.
Maybe to add, we will after that I mean, you can share with us in any means or form you want, right? I just took a note, Natasha, from what you said, and ideally we get the chance to talk to you sometime down the road and really model a bit the point you brought up, because the devil is always in the details, right? It's really easier to think you got it, but then figuring it out. We will create a dedicated thread on the community for this meetup, specifically for the Cobalt part that you have seen. If it's not too much hassle, please leave a comment, hit the like button, like the YouTubers say.
Hit the subscribe button and get the latest.
Yeah, I need to get this, YouTuber equipment. But yeah, Natasha, I will try to reach out to you. We have your contact details, and if you think, you have time to share, I think it's really interesting input that you just gave. In that context, we didn't hear it, especially the supervisor part. So thank you very much.
Yeah, of course. Definitely up to help any way I can. And I love the community portal you have created. Thanks.
Oh, cool.
Glad to hear.
Victor, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you have a similar interview where there was someone who was supposed to create a report every week for the supervisor? And it took every Friday. It took about 2 hours.
It was supervisor plus team. It was a team.
Supervisor plus team,
where they have been presenting the results and the research progress.
Yeah. So
because
this is similar to what Natasha is facing, I guess. So that is
kind of a mix, huh?
Yeah, where there's some sort of a massive controls of what have you done? Why haven't you done more hours? And how many experiments have you done? And there's this stupid argument coming, which I always said, well, if it doesn't work, then just do more experiments. It's like, yeah, sure. I haven't thought about this. How didn't I think about this? So that's the kind of things you see there, and on top with some reporting requirements. So that's and I think Maria made the point. This is every supervisor has some sort of a different view on the world. So maybe we cannot solve this 100%, but I think we can at least help here.
I feel like I want to do my PhD after all this great discussion.
Maybe there are other questions in the group because we're running out of time.
Actually, the question comes from Yves, and he's interested if there is some hierarchy of user permissions and some simplified planning tools to show the milestones, for example.
Maybe I answer on that one because I think I'm the only one who's been brainstorming on this. Yes, for the hierarchy, yes, what we discovered is there are potentially free options of having a hierarchy for a research team, depending where you look and whom you ask. But definitely there's a hierarchy. There's definitely a hierarchy, and now we need to get a little bit more confidence on how dynamic or how flexible it is, because it makes it more complex, right? On the second one, we have seen planning tools and milestone functionality, specifically with focused products on journaling. We don't have it yet in the pipeline. I definitely take it as a feedback, and we'll add again to the thread on the community. And the way we go about it, we don't make the decision. We try to collect as much. We want to be data driven, right? So we want to hear it from hundreds of people, or at least 10, that it is giving them value, and then we're gonna deal with it as a community with priority, right? So again, this is a bit. Not an explicit answer. We collect now in the stage of collecting things, and then we see how this is really affecting the majority, right? I hope that answer is helpful.
Victor. Are there any questions? Yep. It's coming from Milan. Is there planned LaTeX integration or
yes, my question too.
Yeah.
I think we heard that question from everyone. It seems LaTeX integration seems to be the big deal, right? We still try to figure out why integration is relevant, because when we started answering that question, why do you need integration with LaTeX? It was actually not LaTeX itself that the outcome that was tried to be achieved, but LaTeX was the best thing to do it at this current situation of that person, right? So we need to go back to get a little bit more clarity on this, because
there's a few things. There's mathematical formula much nicer to present with LaTeX. That's one thing, and personally, and I hope everybody agrees who's using LaTeX, the print output looks so much nicer than what Word can ever produce on this planet. So that's why I'm a big fan of LaTeX, and it's easy to do. Yeah.
So the way we go about the things, again, we LaTeX, maybe to give a precise answer, LaTeX integration will be raised as a thing to be worked on within the community or anyone who is interested in. The platform that you just have seen after today will be published on GitHub. It's already published, but the latest version you haven't seen yet. It's not there yet. There will be community board driving the feature ideas, let's call them that way, right? A module that would integrate with LaTeX. We, as a community here right now, we will look at how much priority is assigned to specific ideas, and we pick the top one that has the most, demand. But if anyone is interested in doing it, there is no us preventing it from you. That's why we made it the way it is. If you think it's a good idea to do it, and it's maybe ranked item 50 in terms of priority, and you still are hot about it, and you can galvanize enough, traction for people to get to jump on it, we're going to help you get going. We're going to explain to you how APIs are working, and we give you the documentation publicly, and you just you just integrate it. That's the whole purpose of having it open in the public and not hiding it away. So this thing can grow by being further evolved the way they need it, right? And that's why the idea of a platform approach, that those things don't necessarily disturb each other, right? So you will have a plugin, ideally for LaTeX. Whoever wants to have it, they download it and it works. Whoever doesn't need it, they don't even see that, right? And that's the aim, to evolve Cobalt in that direction. And we believe that's the only way it could really solve this, being this multi diverse animal, right? Because that's, I think, what actually the reality is at the moment.
How can we from the FHNV get access to it? Do we have to go to GitHub and download and install on my local laptop?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yes. So everyone has access to GitHub. It's a public repository. Everyone can contribute there. Ideally, the way those things become something meaningful over time, you keep adding to what is there, right? Don't create your copies or clones. It's not in the interest of the greater good. Those things, they only reach critical mass if enough people contribute to the same thing. So it's open for everyone. There's no restriction. You can just go there, check it out. After this week, we're gonna also publish a live demo for what Daniel was showing. So you can log in, click around a little bit. There will be some predefined login. So if you have specific questions on technology, reach out to us. We'll walk you through, explaining everything. We have the Telegram chat. Since WhatsApp got so unpopular, we thought Telegram would work, and we're gonna over time also set up a Slack channel for development-specific community aspects. So stay tuned. There's more to come.
Yeah, thank you, Victor. I think there is no more questions. People are leaving their feedback, which is nice, and thank you, guys. We will be collecting all of your kind words and also ideas for work on it in the future. It's actually been a little bit more of 1 hour since we are presenting and talking to you. Time is flying so fast. I think we covered a lot for today. If you haven't shared your opinion, we are available for you in the social media. Probably me or Victor will be interacting with you very soon. Thank you for amazing questions and your input, and thanks to our speakers and demo presentation. That was amazing. Lots of insights from our guest speaker, Christian. Thanks to our supporter, University of Applied Science and Arts of Northwestern Switzerland. And I wish everybody to have an amazing day and take care. We will come back to you very soon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe and healthy.